Team Vitor Bayer here today. He's been hanging out with Porto's driver Alvaro Parente, of course Pedro Petiz for Sporting Lisbon, also getting a huge amount of support this weekend. But Alvaro Parente, one of the drivers making his debut in the series this weekend, but so's former quadruple champ car champion and Toro Rosso driver Sebastian Bourdais.
Coming off my experience in F1, I really didn't want to, stay inactive. So when I got this opportunity to race for SuperLeague, I decided to take it and come here in Estoril and see what it was like. So it's just another experience, and I hope it will be good. No, it very rarely happened in F1 that I had some fun, and I really hope that I can bring a bit back a smile on my face driving in the car like in the good old days in champ cars. You have fun when the car responds to you what you want it to do, and that's what I'm shooting for. The way the series is run is quite similar to the way champ car was run, but the difference is, I was with a very experienced team who knew the cars very well, and I knew the car very well myself. So it was putting on a very, very strong package here. Obviously, we haven't had much testing. It's a bit of an experience and an adventure for everyone. So, I'm still pretty hopeful, but I don't want to say we're going to be running for a win straight away because I don't know that. Well, there are a lot of people that we need to watch for. Obviously, there's a pretty strong group of drivers now. With Giorgio, Enrique, and Pizzonia, and you can see it's pretty tight up front. So I think if you want to win in any ways, you've got to beat everybody. So it doesn't really matter, but for sure the level of driving is quite strong. I don't have a crystal ball, but it's always very difficult when you come in a series like this with a little experience and not so much experience from the team as well to get it all together. But the target is definitely to be successful and pull it off.
So Sebastian Bourdais, he starts on the inside of row number 4 for this one, but he finished in 11th place in the first race. He had a spin on the first lap. It actually dropped him right to the back, but he managed to fight his way past a few cars, use the pit stops effectively, and make up a few places. So going into only his second ever Super League race, it's going to be fascinating to see how he gets on. And of course, this race does have a reverse grid completely from the finishing order of the first race of the day, and that's going to be interesting, seeing the likes of Galatasaray and indeed FC Porto on the front row of the grid. Bruce, he could certainly do something.
Yeah, he could do something. He was very, very fast in qualifying in his group. He was the quickest actually, but he didn't know the format for qualifying, so he suffered a little bit in the finals. But he's looking strong. He was unlucky in the first race. He's going to do well now.
Well, let's take a look back at what happened in that first race, all the action and the highlights. Let's see what happened. The grid lines up. On the grid should be Basil.
He's stuck in the garage. Basically, I heard that they had a gearbox problem. He couldn't put in the first gear, so he won't start the race.
Here we go, and it's Olympiacos who've made a huge break. Olympiacos disappears, and Corinthians left well behind there. Liverpool in third, and then a whole host of cars battling for 4th place. If they get a clean stop, then Esteban Guerrieri will be away. Liverpool in, yes, Liverpool ahead of Olympiacos. New set of tyres on, and can they turn it around?
Something is stuck on his... Okay, he's lost it, sorry.
Oh, and off gone FC Porto.
FC Porto is off.
Alvaro Parente out. Esteban Guerrieri having a little look down the inside to see if he can take advantage. Wow!
And he passes.
That's an amazing place to pass. Very rare you see it, but Corinthians going to try and come back. No, he can't do it.
Yeah, it's going to...
Throw on the inside. What a place to do it. Fabulous driving again. Valius might try and come back in a minute, can't. Esteban Guerrieri has done the business. Superb job for them. Liverpool finishes in second. 3rd place goes to Corinthians. So that's how they finished for race number 1, and this is how the grid lines up for race number 2. It's Galatasaray, Ho Pin Tung driving for them this weekend on pole, and Alvaro Parent for FC Porto with a lot of fans here on the front row. Michelin should be starting 3rd, but they're not. They've got a problem. Atletico de Madrid starting 4th with Maria de Villota. Then 5th on the grid, Enrique Bernaldo of Flamengo. Then Lyon's Nelson Ponciatisi. Next up, it's Seville. It's Sebastian Bourdais. He starts in 7th. PSV starting 8th with Carlo Van Dam. 9th on the grid is Sporting Lisbon with Petro Petiz. And it's Spurs with Craig Dolby starting 10th. 11th and 12th, we've got the 2 Italian teams, Frank Pereira and Giorgio Pantano at the wheel of the 2 cars. 13th is Rangers, John Martin driving. And 14th, Anderlecht with Jelmer Berman. And then Corinthians, pole winners originally, they start 15th. Liverpool, who led that earlier race, in 16th. Olympiacos, who came through to win it, starting 17th. And at the back, FC Basel and Max Wissel. So there we are, the cars lined up on the grid and ready to go. But right down at the back, FC Basel losing out, not getting into that first race, and that means that they have to start right at the very back of the field, and it's a big disappointment in terms of the championship. But Olympiacos starting alongside them on the grid, and I wonder how far Guerrieri can get in this one.
That's going to be interesting. He's been the only one to be showing us fantastic moves, fantastic overtaking maneuvers, so we'll see if he can do it again.
Championship leaders Liverpool had a big opportunity there. They've opened up the gap in the championship. Remember, which of the 6 teams scores the most points over these 2 races goes through to the super final. Liverpool will be hoping to do that, I'm sure. But Antonio Pizzoni is another one who seems to love this circuit.
Yeah, he did extremely well in qualifying. It was very impressive, but couldn't have a win in the first race. That's a shame. He's going to do well in the race. We'll see how far he can jump up.
There is the Anderlecht car of Jelmer Berman, so a solid result in that first race, and ended up with joint fastest lap, so he's got good pace, but can he pass people? And next to him is the man who won the super final at Donington, John Martin for Rangers.
Yeah, he had a very good start in the first race. He was running 4th for a while, and a strong competitor as well.
Well, just ahead of him are the 2 Italian clubs. First of those is AC Milan with Giorgio Pantano, a man with a brilliant karting career behind him, of course, the reigning GP2 champion. But this weekend hasn't quite gone according to plan. And then a man that you know well, Frank Pereira, driving for AS Roma.
Yes, I spoke with Frank between the 2 races, and he was stuck at the start, and now he's heading for a mega start, so we'll have to watch him.
Okay, we'll keep an eye on him then. Craig Dolby lines up next on the grid for Spurs, and he gives us a little wave, but it's been a bit disappointing for him this weekend. He has moved into 2nd in the points once again, but he's seen that gap to Liverpool open up. He'll want to do something about it. And then next to him, a man with plenty of support this weekend for Sporting Lisbon.
Yeah, indeed, plenty of support, but not such a great result in qualifying. Not such strong run in race 1. He didn't look very strong. We'll see if he can cope with the car this time.
We'll see what he can do from there. Carlo Van Dam has been making his debut for PSV this weekend. Nick's driver who's come out of Formula 3, a couple of titles to his name. Keep an eye on him. But next up, it's Sebastian Bourdais. What about this? He can gain some more places?
He was looking a bit better finally in the last few laps of the first race, so he's going to be looking at moving ahead.
Next on the grid is another French driver, Nelson Ponciatisi. He's driving for Lyon, this team that joined Super League Formula this year, and that's a good promising effort from him to see what he can do. But next to him, another of the ex-Formula 1 drivers, Enrique Bernaldi.
Enrique was unlucky. He had a stop-and-go penalty in the first race, but we all know that he's strong, and when he starts at the front, as he did in Donington, he could be leading the race.
Next on the grid, it's Maria de Villota going into her 2nd Super League race, and she starts on the 2nd row, but she did have that contact with FC Porto that put them out of the race. And there's a gap next to where she is, because Michelin should be there. Now, I don't know whether Warren can tell us what's going on there. That's what's happened to them earlier on. Michelin were in trouble, and it's an engine change for them. So I don't know if they're going to be out at all in this race. That's a big shame. Meanwhile, up onto the front of the grid, we've got Galatasaray on pole position in the yellow and red colours, and alongside FC Porto. So Ho Pin Tung, he starts on pole. Now, when he drove for Madrid, he led at Zolder, didn't he? And actually did a solid job. In the end, he finished 2nd. He was passed by Guerrieri. We're getting used to him passing people. But Ho Pin did a solid job up front, and he might do the same here.
Yeah, well, I think Alvaro Parente looks quite good as well, starting at the front, because in terms of pure performance, he was a little bit better, a little bit quicker. But they both have Maria de Villota behind them that might save them a few laps to drive away from the field, basically.
Just to remind you, it is another 45-minute race. It is a rolling start once again. They will go away on their formation lap to get a bit of heat into those tyres. And let's hope we get a bit of a cleaner start this time, Bruce, because it was messy. I know you spoke to Frank about it. Your opinion too. I know you felt it was pretty messy.
Yeah, it was very messy indeed, because the leader should be giving the start, really, not the light. Once the lights are green, then it's up to the leader, and that was Pizzonia to give the start. And no one followed him. Guerrieri flew at the start, as he should have been behind until the start-finish line, and it wasn't the case, and it made a big chaos at the back. We saw contact, wheels banging. We saw Liverpool banging into Pizzonia, and 5 cars all apart. Well, it was just a mess, so it should be a little bit cleaner now.
Let's hope that they've all had the message. I'm sure the race directors had a word with, particularly the front row men, perhaps, just to say, come on guys, let's make it a nice, smooth, clean start this time. I was quite impressed, actually. They all made it through the first few corners, because they were, at one point, they were so bunched up, weren't they?
Yeah, exactly. I was amazed as well. They were, some of them took it very easy. I spoke to Frank again, and he took it on the safe side. And actually, there was a contact between Sebastian Bourdais and Maria de Villota, and Sebastian went off because she went into him. So she caused a bit of trouble there.
Oh dear, yeah, so a couple of incidents involved. Now the Michelin car may well be able to start from pit lane. Looks as though they've got it up and running. That's a pretty impressive job by the team. They've changed that engine then between towards the end of race 1. He retired quite late in race 1, so they haven't had much time to change engines. And I think he's going to make it down to the end of the pit lane, and he'll be able to start at the back. Another reasonably quick running car, so there'll be several obviously fast cars towards the back of this grid because of this unique formula where it puts the winners from race 1 right at the very back. It's not partial reverse grid, it is an entire reverse grid, and the only slight exception to that is of course the FC Basel car that is starting last because he didn't get to start the first race, and if you're not classified then you don't get to play the game of being reverse grid. There is the championship position. Second Spurs behind Liverpool, then Basel still in third, Milan in 4th place. Remember who the teams, the top 6 point scoring teams here today will go through to the super final. And another interesting point, of all the point scoring races, so that doesn't mean the super final you earn money, you don't score points, we have had a different team win every single point scoring race so far this year. That is amazing. We've had one driver who's done 2 wins, but he's done it with different teams.
Yeah, that's true. It's a very competitive championship. There is a chance for anyone to win races because there is the same car for everyone.
That's right, same car, same engine. It's up to the drivers. There's Maria de Villota.
And she's right in the middle of the track where she should be on her side.
Yeah, let's watch the start. Ready to go, and away we go as they get the starting signal here. Galatasaray, and going very well is Bernoldi. Bernoldi for Flamengo. He's got in front from what was in fact the 3rd row of the grid. He's diving into the lead, but Porto's going side by side with him, and Porto's still trying to hold on to the lead as well. And no, he's not. Porto cuts back in. Bernoldi's done it for Flamengo. Parenti's second for Porto, and off goes Anderlecht and somebody else as well, I think.
Pizzonia, I think, went off as well.
Right, so we think it was Corinthians in the black and white car. We'll try and get an eye on that. He might have got back on again, but it's Flamengo. Enrique Bernoldi who leads, really aggressive. There's Corinthians, he got back on. He's trying to go around the outside of Liverpool, and I think that's Seville on the inside. Bourdais, was it? He might have been in trouble on that first lap because he seems to have dropped back a little bit. Bernoldi absolutely flying. Poleman hoping time under attack from Frank Pereira, who you said was going to go on a charge.
Yeah, that's what he said. He's around the outside now, which is not an ideal place to be, but he's already up there. He had a fantastic start. He said he was going to have a good start, and there he goes.
Trying to go down the inside now in the AS Roma car, but he can't do it. You're on board with Sporting Lisbon. Sporting Lisbon, Pedro Petit looking to try and move up as well, but he's got a great view of Frank Pereira on the left, trying to get up the inside of Galatasaray, but he can't do it. So it's Flamengo leading. Enrique Bernoldi leads. FC Porto in 2nd place. That was a great tussle into the first corner, but well, we'll have to see what the race director thinks of Bernoldi's start because it was a real flyer. There he is. What a lead he's got. Remember, he led at Donington only to go all wrong in the pits. Well, let's see if they can hold on this time. AC Milan coming through. There's Lyon, Rangers and Spurs. The 2 British clubs are running pretty close to one another at the moment. Rangers down in 9th place, Spurs in 10th, and Pereira and Petit going together here.
Yeah, Pereira has to defend, and Petit is going to try to go on the inside, but it doesn't work. Leaders, yes.
What I hadn't realised is Sevilla's third. Sebastian Bourdais, I thought he was towards the back. He's not. Sevilla's right up front. Sevilla's in third place. Sebastian Bourdais had a great first lap. It was so good, I missed it.
Yeah, actually it was the Lyon car who dropped back, I think.
Oh, spin for Lyon. A spin there for Nelson Ponciatisi. Look at him light up those rear tyres. And everybody just about managing to avoid him. That was Michelin coming through. So the third car there is Seville. So Sebastian Bourdais, who started 11th on the grid. 7th on the grid, of course, for this one. And he followed Bernaldi. He was on the same side as Bernaldi. They had a car missing on their side of the track, and they've taken full advantage of that. So Bernaldi's up front, and Bourdais is in third.
Yeah, they both used the push to pass at the start. We could see Bernaldi flying. He actually took the throttle very early. It was very fast all through the straight and could make the 2 places and the lead, as he's used to do. I mean, he has so much experience. He's done it already, and he's doing it again. Experience shows.
AC Milan, Giorgio Pantano getting Petiz in trouble.
Yep.
That's Sporting Lisbon suddenly slowed down. He seems to be picking it up a bit again, but there's something wrong.
Yeah, I heard a noise, and it's probably an engine problem. We are following Porto now, followed by Galatasaray, AS Roma and AC Milan. Petiz is back on track, but no, he's slow. He's definitely slow. And
yeah, it's definitely not coming together. And there's an indicator that Spurs is in the gravel trap somewhere. Spurs has gone off as well. So it's all happening on these opening laps here. Atletico de Madrid with Maria at the wheel. She's sitting in 9th place at the moment. Sporting Lisbon getting out of the way of the others. Liverpool coming through. Anderlecht back on the track after that trip through the gravel on the opening lap there, by the way. But Liverpool down in 14th. Olympiacos behind, down in 16th place. So the earlier, in the pits in fact. Olympiacos in the pits. Our earlier winner, I think it's all over. They've told him to cut the engine. Too much damage. Oh, and that's bitterly disappointing for the race 1 winner. Now let's look back at the start.
Okay, so many cars spread around the track, and leading it's already Bernaldi in front of Parente, who's locking wheels, trying to go around the outside. Lyon dropped back, and Bourdais had a very good start as well.
Yeah, he sort of followed Bernaldi, didn't he? He got up into third straight away. You can see the red and white colours of Seville actually getting in there and getting round the outside of Galatasaray in that first corner.
Yeah, very good, and good start as well from Antonio Pizzonia from the Corinthians. Actually, fantastic start. It's a shame he went off, but he's still up there, actually running in 11th position, having started at the back.
Yeah, he went off there. You see Corinthians off, Anderlecht went very wide, but Anderlecht still running too. 13th place for them. Remember, the point scores of the 2 races are what counts towards the super final, and Guerrieri might still get in the super final because he was the race winner earlier, so he got the 50 points maximum. Nelson Ponciatisi's in the pits. Obviously there may be a bit of damage there. Up front it's Flamengo leading. There's second place Porto, blue and white, then Seville, then Galatasaray, then AS Roma and Milan, the 2 Italian clubs. There's the Rangers car of John Martin, and there's a little battle. Corinthians down the inside of Maria, and Corinthians, Antonio Pizzonia takes that place, so that puts the Corinthians car into 8th position now. Madrid dropped back down to 9th, and they're being chased by PSV, and then FC Basel, who's gone well. Remember, Basel, Max Wissel started right at the back, and he's already been picking up a few cars.
That's pretty impressive, and we're going to have a fight between Hopington, actually Porto, but especially Hopington of Galatasaray, and AS Roma, who's extremely fast and catching back. Actually, Hopington is doing a good job with the Galatasaray car, because he's catching up on Sébastien Bourdais, and he's followed very closely by AS Roma.
Yeah, so that's the red and yellow cars, the colours of Galatasaray. And the big Turkish club, obviously they've got that car working better because Hopin was struggling a little bit in qualifying. He knew there needed to be some changes, and they've worked hard on it, and he's looking much more competitive in this race. Switch of team from Madrid to Galatasaray for him this weekend. And there is Giorgio Pantano, the reigning GP2 champion, just dropping a little bit off the tail of that group, so he doesn't seem to quite have what he needs. There's Sebastian Bourdais sitting in 3rd place, but as you say, he's not an easy, comfortable 3rd place. He's being followed pretty closely, but he's in a solid 3rd, and Bourdais will, of course, try and judge his race. He knows what longer races are all about. He knows how to deal with pit stops, and we've got pit stop between lap 8 and lap 20, and is that the Olympiacos car coming back out? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
So they've made some repairs and sent him on his way. Now it is worth it, even though he is 2 laps down, because if they can get some points, you get points all the way down the field in Super League Formula, it's well worth going back out, because he could still get in the super final.
I think that's Lyon. They've fixed the car, and he's going to try to rejoin the race.
Interestingly, fastest lap, Corinthians, so we saw him on the move, and Corinthians has set the fastest lap, 1:31.081. So Antonio Pizzogna, who was so strong in the first race of the day, ended up finishing in 3rd place, but he's looking competitive once again in this one, and there he is. Antonio doing well and looking confident, and he's closing up to the back of John Martin in the Rangers car. He's caught him quite quickly, actually.
Yeah, actually very quickly. He was a second and a half quicker than him on the previous lap, so he's going to try to overtake him as early as possible. He has to fight his way up the field now to make sure he's going to be able to finish in the top 5, basically. It's very important these earlier times of the race.
Now Basel, I gather, has also had a bit more of a problem again. Oh, and there's Craig Dolby. I said that his car was off on the gravel track somewhere. It's been an absolute disaster for Spurs this weekend, and that is a great, great disappointment. They're sitting 2nd in the points, remember, coming into this race, and it's all over now. So that's a great shame, but it's the way it goes. And meanwhile, Basel here, but they've had that problem, and let's hope that they can try and get something out of this weekend themselves. There is the car of Maria de la Lotta. She's got Basel right behind them, and he is going to try and take the place here. This is for 9th place. Can he do it down into turn 1? He's going to the outside. He's got the cleaner grip on the outside, and yes, and she spins! She spins right in front of them. Oh, they managed to miss her. That was close.
That was very close indeed. She got overtook around the outside. She had to deal with 5 cars putting pressure on her, and there she goes for a spin. But it's she rejoined, and it's okay. She's still learning about the car. It's a heavy car for a woman, I have to say.
Well, she's just got on the dirty stuff there on the inside, hasn't she? She's kept out of the way, but then almost looped it right in front and outwards, but thankfully she kept it in tight.
Yes, she was actually a little bit too tight to start with. She should have tried to stay on around the outside, closer to the other car, to have more room and to open the steering wheel earlier, as Bernoldi is flying at the front.
This is good stuff from Enrique Bernoldi, much more like we would expect from the former Grand Prix driver. He's had a bit of a struggle, but he did lead at Donington, remember, only for it to go wrong in the pits when the engine stalled. It's actually a different car he's driving this weekend. There's been a bit of swap around. It was the car that Jonathan Kennard was driving in AS Roma colours before, so it's been a bit of a switch around, and right now, despite not qualifying very well and not really... I don't know what happened yesterday because his speed trap figures weren't that high, but Bernoldi seems to be absolutely flying now.
No, he's, I think in the first race, he was unlucky. He got a stop and go, actually a drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane, which wasn't very fair, well, a bit hard on him, but he was still quite competitive, and now he's only on his own at the front.
Basel into the pits. We hear that they've got some sort of clutch problem, and it's too early for the obligatory pit stop. They might change tyres anyway, but it must be more than that. So this is so disappointing when they managed to get that car out.
Yes, unlucky weekend for them, and very bad for the championships with points actually, and they're not even ready with tyres. They're going to jack the car up.
The shake of the head from Max as well. I don't know quite what this is all about. Do you? They're putting a new set of tyres on, but they don't seem to be doing anything else. So confusion reigns.
Yes, it's a bit strange. I don't know why they went in so early for the pit stop and changing the tyres. That's a bit strange.
Maybe he heard something on the radio and thought they said come in. I mean, it's a strange one, but he's on his way again. But that's really ruined it for FC Basel. They'll have to come in again, and it's all falling into the lap of Liverpool at the moment, who are up to 10th in this race already. 10th place. We've still got a long way to go. We've still got the pit stops to go. And Adrian Valles, the championship leader for Liverpool, he must be, if he's aware of what's going on, he must be lapping it up. It's great.
Yeah, he must. Baudet has a bit of can breathe a little bit, because behind him there is a big fight between AS Roma and Galatasaray. AS Roma actually on the inside, probably using the push to pass now. Yes, he's overtook.
Yeah.
Yes, he's on the push to pass for sure.
Has done it. That was good stuff. And look who's behind. It's Giorgio Pantano's going to try and follow through, but he's not quite there.
But we just saw a black car behind this little group, and that's Corinthians, that Antonio Pizzogna, that managed to overtake the Glasgow Rangers, and he's now up to 7th and catching this group of cars.
That's impressive, because getting past John Martin can't have been easy. That car has been lapped, remember. He's a couple of laps down, in fact. Look at this. This was how that pass took place. He did use the push to pass, and in fact, I think a little mistake there from Hosenton as well.
He ran wide, and when you're not on the good line, then you get some understeer, because there's a little bit of dust on the track, and you tend to be stuck by not putting the throttle on.
So Olympiacos there, still getting in the mix here, and lapping obviously just as quick. And so unfortunately they had some contact on the opening lap, which just dropped them down the order, but he'll stay out there, Guerrieri, just to try and pick up some points. He's already ahead of a couple of cars, and he might be ahead of another one, because Michelin has been pushed back into the pits. Oh, it's proving to be a really tough day for Basel, for Michelin, with mechanical problems for both cars. Yes. This is really disappointing.
It is disappointing. It was a very good job from the team to be able to change the engine so fast, but when you've got so little time, sometimes you can't fix everything back in place, so apparently it was too short.
So leading the race, it's still Flamengo, Enrique Bernaldi, and chasing him, Alvaro Parente. In fact, two new drivers, Alvaro Parente for FC Porto, then Sebastian Bourdais. And here we go once again, another change coming up. Is it? Oh no, it's Olympiacos just trying to get back some of its lost ground. So he's getting past pace. Shows how much pace Guerrieri's got.
Yeah, that's amazing. But is it allowed to do that? Is it allowed to come and have be part of the race of the cars which are actually the leaders?
I don't see why not. I mean, he's still racing for points, isn't he? So if he's got the pace, I guess there's no reason why he shouldn't try and get himself back on the lead lap.
No, for sure, but that means he has to overtake the 5 cars in front of them and go back into the lead and try to lap them again, which might be difficult.
That might be hard, I agree. Well, we'll have to see what happens there, but there's the Anderlecht car still chasing Liverpool. These two have both sort of followed one another after that little incident on the first lap when Anderlecht went wide, and so did Corinthians. But it's Corinthians of the group that got away best of all, because Corinthians now all the way up into 7th, having started at the back. And these guys having a good little dice at the moment, but it's for 10th position, and they're coming up to PSV Eindhoven. Carlo Van Dam driving for PSV this weekend, putting in a solid job as he gets to grips with these cars for the first time.
Yeah, not easy to jump such in a big car for the first time, and he's doing a consistent job and learning about the car, trying to find the right setup that suits him.
Probably quite nice for him that the radar has been more on Sebastian Bourdais, Alvaro Parente, and even Maria, and he's been able to sort of just quietly get on with it without too much attention.
Yes, indeed, and actually Sebastian Bourdais is doing quite well now. He's still running in 3rd position in front of AS Roma and then Galatasaray, but now we are on the Anderlecht car with Jelmer Berman.
Yep, Anderlecht, and the pit window has opened up and into the pits already. FC Porto are in, Anderlecht coming in. So 2nd place, FC Porto, Alvaro Parente making his pit stop. There he is, and all ready to go. And that looked pretty good to me. Looked like a pretty quick stop. So he's en route. AS Roma got problems.
AS Roma are having problems. Oh no, what a shame. They have to restart the engine. They stole the engine.
So on their way they go. Once they go, he still hasn't got away cleanly. Absolute disaster for AS Roma when Frank Pereira was charging, wasn't he? Absolutely fine.
Yes. Rangers have gone through, Anderlecht as well, and now they're stuck.
Oh, all gone wrong. Flamengo, by the way, have not been into the pits, so they still lead the race as they have done from the start, but it's in the pits that it's gone wrong for Flamengo. Last time out at Donington, and it's just getting, it's just all ending here, really, isn't it?
No, the starter is running in nothing. He's just running in the air, spinning in nothing. So there he goes finally.
Oh, he has got going. Okay, so AS Roma is on its way now. But here is the race leader. It is Enrique Bernaldi now. How long will they leave him out? I would have thought they would want to bring him in pretty soon to get the best out of the new tyres. The tyres do drop off in performance quite quickly here at Estoril. We saw it in qualifying, and new fastest lap for Basel, who've gone back out on that new set of tyres. Remember, they made an early pit stop and put a new set of tyres on, and Bernaldi's not pitted. Interestingly, the race leader stays out there. Corinthians have not pitted yet as well, and you'll look at the top left of your screen. The orange colour indicates cars that have not pitted. If it comes up in black, then that car has been into the pits. Galatasaray just coming in fact, into the pits. They can just seen on their way again. Hope in Tung and the others all making their way in at this point. Seville, there is, Seville still out there, or yes, they have made their pit stop, but further down the pit lane. And there's Liverpool. Crucial stop for Liverpool as they get underway once again. Championship leaders looking for as good a stop as they had. There was a slight delay there, I think, but away they go now, and hopefully they won't have lost too much time through that.
And you see how important is the in-lap. Galatasaray did an in-lap in 138.2, and the quickest guys can do 134, 135. So he's losing 3 seconds on an in-lap. That's huge. That's huge. So that's nearly a position or 2 positions on track. As Corinthians, we haven't seen, but we're going to have an eye on it. to see how good his in-lap, as well as Flamengo. It's going to be interesting to see what the leaders are capable of doing on their in-laps.
Yeah, absolutely. And FC Basel, who have to presumably make another pit stop because they've been in, but they came in before the pit window was fully opened up. Little battle going on here between Galatasaray on the inside in the yellow and red colours, and Anderlecht. That's Jelmer Berman chasing down Ho Pin Tung, and two of them separated by a matter of centimetres.
And that shows that Galatasaray was running in fifth position, fourth then fifth. Anderlecht was actually quite further back, but after their pit stop, Anderlecht is just there because he made up nearly 3 seconds on the in-lap, and that's Corinthian 1:34.6 on the in-lap, so he's like 4 seconds quicker than Galatasaray. It's actually a very good in-lap for Corinthians.
And it's a good pit stop, and away goes Antonio Pizzonia. So he's got a clear run out of the pits, that helps as well. So a great stop. FC Porto going through, and FC Porto of course have stopped already, so effectively of the stoppers, FC Porto's the leader. Corinthians will come out behind this next little group, most of whom have stopped, but not all. Olympiacos, of course, don't count them because they're 2 laps down. The red and white car at the back of the group. Then you've got Maria Zavalotta. She's not stopped yet either. But the problem for Pizzonia here is he's come out behind potentially pretty slow car in Maria. She's still getting up to speed, and he needs a quick out lap as well as a quick in lap.
Exactly, he needs a quick out lap, but I think it's over because you see Maria de Villota is everywhere on the track. They're trying to overtake her around the outside in the middle of the straight. He manages, and Corinthians will do? Yes, I'm sure he's going to make it, yes. Under braking, clean overtaking maneuver.
Interesting for Corinthians, he's now behind Olympiacos, which is one of the fastest cars out there, but is 2 laps down. And I'm sure he's not going to, Guerrieri's not going to let him through, but they might together be able to come up through the field.
Exactly. He can actually follow him, and it's going to be good.
Race leader in Flamengo. So this is it then. The battle will be between Flamengo and FC Porto. New tyres. Oh, it's got to be clean. It's got to be clean. Away he goes. It looks pretty good.
That's okay.
Is it going to be enough to beat FC Porto?
I think it's going to be just. He did a 1:37.2, which is not good. He's 2 seconds slower.
Porto come across the line. That is Porto on the right, and he will have it surely. He's still on the speed limiter. So Alvaro Parente will take the lead for FC Porto. The Portuguese driver on board a Portuguese team, and he has taken the lead here at Estoril, and Flamengo coming back out second of the cars that have stopped. But Bernaldi again, as at Donington, he didn't stall and didn't have problems with the car this time, but he has lost the lead.
Yes, he's lost the lead. Slow in lap, and the pit stop was too late. He laps 2 laps in the 32s, as Porto is lapping in the 30s. That's it. That's the difference.
And look at Sebastian Bourdais for Seville. He's lapping in the 129s. He's flying at the moment. Lyon, the French driver Nelson Ponsiatisi in and being sent on his way. Once it's all done, that's all a bit tardy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the second or third pit stop already. He had to repair the damage at the start of the race.
He's 2 laps down, so obviously he's not in any particular rush.
No.
Get going. So it is FC Porto that leads. Alvaro Parente on his debut in Super League Formula, driving for a Portuguese club and getting lots of support here this weekend. For second place now, Flamengo, or the earlier race leader, there is Enrique Benaldi, but there in third, Seville. That is Sebastian Bourdais. So you've got 2 former Grand Prix drivers here. One a very recent Grand Prix driver, of course, in Sebastian Bourdais, bearing down on Enrique Benaldi, and another one behind because Giorgio Pantano for AC Milan, another ex-Grand Prix driver who wants to join in, and then another one as well because Pizzonia is actually next on the list in the background, although he's still tucked in behind the Olympiacos machine of Esteban Guerrieri, which is 2 laps down.
Yes, actually Corinthians and Pizzonia being the quickest on track as we speak with a 1:30.1, which is just a little bit quicker than AC Milan, Sevilla, Flamengo and Porto, which are in front.
Rangers and Anderlecht going wheel to wheel there, and Rangers just holding on to position, but they're both caught up behind Atletico Madrid. Maria's not stopped yet. They're both trying to get past her, and they're engaged in their own tussle.
Contact.
Rangers loses it. Round goes Velotta, and Anderlecht took the right line there, stayed out wide, and got past both of them.
Yes, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5th contact in the race with Maria de Villota.
Oh dear, oh dear, not good, not good.
Hard for her to learn directly in a race with so little testing, I have to say.
Yeah, it is tough, and thought that Rangers had that opportunity, but obviously John thought he was going to get through there, and it didn't happen. And he's actually come out just in front of Liverpool. Arsenal recovered, I should say, in front of Liverpool. Liverpool actually didn't gain much out of the pit stops, interestingly. They're down in 12th place. Take a look at this again, Bruce.
Well, they're diving on the inside, hoping that she has seen them, because she's having a very wide entry, which is not the normal racing line. You have to dive into the corner much earlier, which is what Ranger did, and she just cut across him, and he had no way to go.
Here we go. This is the view from Anderlecht. Turns in and then just decides to stay out wide. It all worked out very well for him.
Yes, indeed. I mean, a little bit of hesitation from Rangers, I have to say as well. A little bit of hesitation and wrong line from Madrid, and there's a clash.
So there's the race leader then, the blue and white colours of FC Porto. Second place still Flamengo, but under pressure now from Seville, and there's Sebastian Bourdais, who really seems to be getting to grips with the Super League car now. He's on for a potential podium, but he'd like to convert that into potential victory. But to do that, he's got to get past Enrique Benaldi, who knows all the wiles, all the expertise that he's built up over the years. He's not going to make it easy for him.
No, for sure not. But Sebastian Bourdais seems to have a very good car. As he goes back on the power, exiting the corners, he doesn't have any traction problem, no oversteer problem, so the back of the car is quite good and strong, so that's why he's actually quite quick just now. He's actually 5 tenths quicker than Flamengo and Enrique Benaldi.
So Bourdais has the pace, but can he find some space? That's what he needs to do to get past. Moving to second. Milan still in fourth place with Pantano. Corinthians in fifth. Anderlecht in sixth. Then it's Galatasaray seventh. Basel in 8th place. Glasgow Rangers dropped to 9th, of course, last time around. 10th for Liverpool, 11th for PSV, and then it's Atletico de Madrid. Roma, of course, after that slow pit stop. I'm afraid they've dropped all the way to 13th, and then it's Olympiacos, a couple of laps down, but still showing as 14th, and they'll be useful points, of course, to Olympiacos for that. Here we go then. Can he use the push to pass?
Yeah, he should, but he's not just now. Enrique Benaldi had a quite good of an exit of the last corner. He's getting close, but without the push to pass, you can't overtake. Enrique Benaldi is very good to defend. I don't know if you remember the Monaco Grand Prix a few years ago when he was in Formula 1. He had David Coulthard behind him for 25 laps, I think, and he couldn't overtake him. So lots of experience from Enrique Benaldi. Very cold-blooded racing driver, and he could spend 20 laps like this with Bourdais putting pressure on him without any problem.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yes, he was driving for Arrows then, wasn't he? And yeah, that was a famous incident. As you say, Benaldi very cool about it, just doing the job that he's got to do and making others having to work for their places to get past. Pantano right behind these two as well, so it could become a three-way tussle, and it's for second place, remember, and it's all allowing Porto to rather get away because there's an advantage of 4.9 seconds on board with Sebastian Bourdais. Still has 5 push-to-passes available. You can see that figure in the top right-hand corner of the graphic. And as he comes now towards the slowest part of the circuit, you'll see the gears. The gear register dropped down to second. And he uses second, using the torque of the engine to pull him through there.
Yes, when some drivers are using first and then short shifting into second. It's quite clever. Oh, a little bit of turning oversteer for Sebastian there. And on the previous lap, we saw him having oversteer as well.
He's using push to pass right now.
Yeah, use push to pass, he's being told, but actually
that's too far. No,
he was a long way back.
Yes, no, he still has got 5 pushes to pass to use, but he's too far, and it's going to be once spoiled if he's using it too early.
Interestingly, Flamengo did just use it apparently on that last run down the straight, so Benaldi's used up one of his valuable push to pass opportunities. Might give Bourdais a chance in the next lap or two to get past him. There is Pantano right behind for AC Milan.
And the Corinthians in 5th.
Yeah.
Corinthians very much being...
That's interesting, because I hadn't realised the Corinthians had got past Olympiacos, because the last time we saw him, he was still behind Olympiacos.
He probably was told that he had the Corinthians behind, charging up the field and letting pass. Very fast Pizzonia just now.
So the black and white colours of Corinthians becoming a part of this battle for second. So he's now got 4 cars potentially fighting for second, but the race leader, there he is, Alvaro Parent. Look at the lead he's got, 5.5 seconds last time across the start-finish line, and this is looking very good for the man who won at Spa last weekend in a GP2 car. Come in to drive for Porto, which is his club. He's born and bred in Porto, has followed his football club, as he's been telling us all his life. It means a huge amount to him. He is a real football fan, and what a chance. There's a young fan who's been along to some of those Porto matches, as Alvaro did a few years ago, and now Alvaro finds himself leading for his favourite club. This has got to feel special, but it's 17 minutes still to go. Still plenty of time in this race.
Yes, Bourdais very close to Enrique Bernoldi, using the push to pass now, diving on the inside. Enrique Bernoldi blocking, but there he goes.
Yeah, he used the push to pass perfectly there, and Bernoldi couldn't use it because it was under 2 minutes since he last used his push to pass. The lap time here is 1 minute 30. You can't use a push to pass system until you've had a break of 2 minutes, and that was clever stuff. He had a great exit and he used it perfectly.
Yes, as we are having a look inside Sébastien Bourdais' car, fantastic move back on the racing line on the left side, taking it easy. Very nice move.
Now, is Seville going to catch Porto? That's the question. We've got 16, well, just under 17 minutes to go. Bourdais has got up into second place now. There's a big advantage to try and shut down. 6 seconds he's got to catch. And Parente is still going very quickly.
Yes, Parente is lapping in the 30s. So does Sevilla on the last lap. Actually, Flamengo was slowing them down a lot. You can see Bourdais actually pulling away just now. So it's going to be interesting. 16 minutes to go. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, but I'm sure Bourdais will be giving it his all on board with Giorgio Pantano here. He wants to be the next one to get past Enrique Bernoldi. Uses a lot of lock, doesn't he, through the chicane, sort of really scrubs the front end of the car across the road almost to help it slow down. And there's the view from the man he's chasing. That's from Enrique Bernoldi's point of view.
Yes, luckily for Bernoldi, which is not always the case, but having this long corner at the end of the straight makes the car behind you understeer, and you tend to pull away. So AC Milan is not so close, and so is the Corinthians not so close either. So nothing happens on this lap, but maybe on the next lap.
Yeah, they're all still tussling there. There's Corinthians again, closes up to the back of AC Milan. The car at the back of that group, remember, is the race winner from earlier on today, but it is 2 laps down after an earlier incident on lap 1, and he was forced to come into the pits for repairs. But this is great stuff. This is what you want to see. On board with Antonio Pizzonio, Corinthians. Close into the back of Giorgio Pantano's machine. Look, you can't get much closer.
No. And as we look at the inboard camera, you see opening the steering wheel a little bit, but he has a very good traction, very good exit, and he's going to try to make a move on Pantano around the outside. It's very hard, but he could make it.
He's on the more grippy side of the track here for the start of the corner, but no, Pantano was clever there. He saw the good exit that Pizzonio had at the previous corner. Oh, and a bit of oversteer, corrects it beautifully. And Pantano, good race awareness there, wasn't there?
Yeah, very good race. And the Corinthians are actually blocking or closing the door for the grid team, but they don't have to worry about them because they're not in the race at the moment.
No, but he's probably just a bit nervous that Guerrieri is going to suddenly try and dive past.
So maybe he shouldn't do that. I think that here he's just showing that he has the pace, but he shouldn't be trying to overtake them now.
No, he's going to let them do their own thing, really. And he's still following them as they come around this long turn 13, the top corner. Look at that blue sky ahead, absolutely gorgeous conditions in the low 20s Celsius. It's not boiling hot, it's really a pleasant, beautiful September day here in Estoril. And as they head down towards the first corner, this battle for what is 3rd place again. Corinthians almost running into the back of the AC Milan car. Pizzonio again on the charge, looking to get past Pantano, but there is no way of doing it at turn 2.
Nope.
There is a way of doing it at turn 3, but he's not close enough.
No. Turn 2, he's just showing his nose just to say, hey, I'm here, be careful. But you cannot overtake in turn 2.
Right, and he's maybe lost a little bit. He's very good into this one.
Sideways, a little mistake, and
spoke too soon.
Yes.
He's usually very good into that one, but he tries to carry, he does carry more speed on the entry. He has a very unique line into it, and usually it works, but actually now it's put him under pressure from Olympiacos and from Esteban Guerrieri, who's actually showing his nose as well to the black car.
Yeah, now Corinthians has to focus of what's ahead of him. He shouldn't look in his mirrors, just look at AC Milan's gearbox and try to get back there, try to make a move.
Anderlecht closing up. They are in the race. They're running 6th at the moment. Just to remind you, Galatasaray down in 7th, Basel are in 8th, Rangers in 9th place, Liverpool still in 10th, PSV 11th, Atletico de Madrid is in 12th place, then it's AS Roma. Olympiacos, who's in the middle of this group, that red and white car there, they're actually running 14th overall. Now, what's happening up front, Bruce?
Well, at the front, Sevilla is lapping actually 6/10 quicker than anyone. That's Sébastien Bourdais. And now the gap is only 3 seconds with the leader.
Wow.
There you are. Sébastien Bourdais, red and white car. catching very fast FC Porto, the leaders.
So Bourdais is absolutely flying. I mean, that is a big margin every lap, about a second on the last couple of laps. That's phenomenal speed from Sébastien Bourdais. He is the fastest man on circuit at the moment, I think, looking at those lap times by quite a margin, as these guys all fight for what is third place. And there is Anderlecht now, who wants to get past Olympiacos pretty quickly and join the back of this queue, and hope that they can become a part of it. But up front, it's going to be close too, because Alvaro Parente in the blue and white FC Porto car is definitely under pressure now from Seville and Sébastien Bourdais. And then this group, there is Olympiacos moving out of the way, in fact.
Yes, moving out of the way of Anderlecht, and Corinthians are so fast because they've got back. They fall after the small mistake he made going into that tight left-hander. He probably lost 1.5 seconds, and he made that in 1 lap. So very fast. Pizzonia again flying.
Yeah, he's very quick, but he can't find a way past the AC Milan car, which in turn is sort of bottled up behind Enrique Benoldi's Flamengo car. You've got the two big Brazilian clubs, Flamengo and Corinthians, almost together on track, but at the moment they're separated by the Italians here, by Giorgio Pantano. Otherwise we'd have these two great Brazilian rival clubs going wheel to wheel. That could be fun to see, but at the moment Corinthians cannot get past this machine ahead. I wonder if he's going to try and use a bit of push to pass here. Got to be the way to do it, but he's too far back, I think.
Yeah, the thing is, you really have to exit very close from the car ahead of you, otherwise the push to pass you're only going to use in 5th gear, and then it's 6th. It doesn't give you a big advantage, so it's tricky to use the push to pass properly on that track.
Now, Sébastien Bourdais didn't pick up quite as much time on that last lap. Just looking at Rangers, having a little think, and that is for position. That is for 8th place there, having a little think about getting past Basel. They're both up behind 7th place Galatasaray. So this is an interesting one. Basel with the fastest lap earlier on. But interestingly, the team manager of that car has been called to the pit because we think he stopped outside the pit window, and he hasn't made an extra stop since then. So I'm not sure that FC Basel are going to be able to hold that position.
Yeah, you're right with that. He stopped actually 2 laps earlier, I think, and now he's been called to the race director. He's now racing against Hopinton Galatasaray, who was starting at the front, but has dropped down to 7th now.
So, meanwhile, up front, by the way, Sébastien Bourdais only took 3/10 of a second last time around out of Alvaro Parente. So Parente seems to have sort of picked up the pace again.
Probably heard something on the radio saying push, push, push.
Yeah, don't relax anymore. Here he is. We're on board with Parente, the race leader. Now, what's it going to be this time around? Let's see what the gap is. The flags are flying high. Is he going to hold on for a victory here? Well, this time, half a second gained by Bourdais. Look, he has closed it up more. The gap's to just 2 seconds now between the two drivers making their debut in Super League Formula. And still this battle, and Corinthians has done it. Corinthians has got past AC Milan, but now he's got to try and get past Flamengo. Now we do have the big Brazilian clubs going at it, absolutely together on track, and Giorgio Pantano could not keep Pizzonia behind any longer.
No. I was amazed by how much speed actually Pizzonia carried into the first corner. He seemed to brake super late. I thought he was going to go straight, but no, kept it together into the corner, and again he carries a lot of speed and nearly pushes Bernoldi away from his line, and he's going to have to fight his way through and find a way to overtake Bernoldi quickly if he wants to have a chance to finish on the podium.
This is great seeing Pizzonia drive like this. I remember watching him in his younger years in the UK when he was Formula Vauxhall Junior champion. He backed that up with Formula Renault champion. The next year he was British F3 champion. He was astonishing. He was brilliant to watch. He just seemed to have it all. And I thought at that time he was going to become a future Formula 1 world champion. Didn't quite happen, but driving like this, he's driving brilliantly here, isn't he?
Yes, he is. And funnily enough, it was a bit the same with Bernoldi. Actually, Bernoldi was flying. He was European Formula Renault champion. Then he went to the UK, wasn't as successful as Pizzonia, but won so many races. I think he won 12 races in British Formula 3. He said no to a contract with Williams back then, thinking he was going to have something better. And then they both end up making a fantastic show for us here in Super League Formula.
Yeah, they are putting on a show. But what we do gather is that Anderlecht has passed AC Milan as well. Now, you do think that Pantano's maybe got a problem with the black and red car, because he's now been passed by Anderlecht as well. So Anderlecht go up into 5th position. Oh, and Rangers has got the move done this time on Galatasaray. Yeah, no, he hasn't. It's on Basel. Sorry, I thought he was alongside Galatasaray. Has a look. Oh,
contact? No.
Did they touch or not? I wasn't sure.
It was close.
That was close, indeed it was. But Galatasaray just holding on to 7th. Rangers still in 8th. And then behind them, we've still got Basel and Liverpool joining in. Yeah, Liverpool in 10th place might be able to pick up some more places here, which is an interesting one. The gap between the two leaders, by the way, down to 1.7 seconds. Another 5/10 gained by Sebastian Bourdais last time round. But as we know, it's one thing to close the gap, it's another thing to get past. There are still 7 minutes to go in this race. And Basel having to protect now from Liverpool. Liverpool going to go around the outside.
Yes, no, yes, no. Oh, it's going to be tight.
Still side by side on the exit. Who's going to have it? He's squeezed out, and Basel still in front of that group.
Oh, that's amazing. Very good fight there as well. For the championship, basically, Basel defending their position. We haven't heard from the race director. No messages on the screen.
No, look at this. The leaders. Look how close they are now. Down to under a second. Bourdais is flying, and the Porto fans are troubled because they can see how close their man is to being passed by Sebastian Bourdais, and it is going to be quite a contest in the remaining part of this race. Olympiacos looks as though Guerreri's been sort of released to go past Milan. That's not for position, he's still 2 laps down, remember, but still picking up some useful points. This is where the focus is switching though, because the blue car of Alvaro Parente for Porto is now really under pressure from the Spanish team Seville, with French driver Sebastian Bourdais on board. 2 brand new drivers to Super League Formula, and what a display they're putting on.
Yes, and Sebastian Bourdais was actually 7/10 quicker again on the last lap, and he's now less than a second behind Porto.
But the interesting news I've just been given is that Porto has no push to passes left, and Seville still has 2. So if Sebastian Bourdais plays this cleverly, he should be able to find a way past, in theory.
He has to use them very cleverly. Oh, a bit of a mistake from Sebastian Bourdais, going in too fast into the chicane. Hasn't lost too much time, maybe a 10th or 2.
Yep, he's still got time. 5 3/4 minutes remaining in this race, and Alvaro Parente, well, this is going to be quite a tussle. Parente, of course, hasn't made it to the heights of Formula 1 Grand Prix as yet. He's still hoping to. He's been winning races at the level just below that, and he's won across Europe in a variety of different categories. Bourdais has been in Formula 1, didn't have a particularly happy time, wants to prove just how fast he is still, how his 4 Champ Car titles were based on true speed. Well, we know they were, but he's also adapting quickly to these cars. These 2 guys, what a show they're putting on when it is their first ever race meeting with these V12 powered 750 brake horsepower machines. And Bourdais not as quick a lap that time around in terms of what he had been doing, but we did see that mistake that you pointed out earlier.
Yeah, a small mistake. Again, a bit too quick into that corner, having a bit of turning oversteer. This car is very demanding physically, and when you ask a lot to the car as well, the tires have the tendency to fall down. So he's been lapping super fast on all the previous laps, 29.4, 29.7, and now it's going to be tough for him to try to overtake.
Well, let's see what he does. Meanwhile, this is still the race for 3rd, the final podium spot up for grabs. Anderlecht now has just got past Corinthians. Now, there's an interesting change. Anderlecht, Jelmer Berman, has got past Antonio Pizzonia, and he's now the one putting Flamengo under pressure.
That's an amazing battle there, even though Olympiacos is not really part of it, because he's 2 laps down, but Anderlecht is being very, very strong just now. End of the race, very, very strong, and Enrique Bernoldi keeps it together and still on the podium so far, and 4 minutes to go.
Yeah, well, the points, if they stay as they are now, Liverpool well out in front, but Corinthians will be sort of joining into the fray a bit more. Milan will have scored consistently in both races if they finish. It does look as though Pantano's been having problems, though. Just hope he can get to the end of this race, because he might still make it into the super final, judging by the number of points scored from both races. Olympiacos going on the attack of Corinthians. Corinthians going defensive there to the inside, but Guerrieri said, I might be 2 laps down, but I've had enough of following you. I'm going past, and he's done so.
Yes, and we saw Anderlecht trying to show his nose again to Enrique Bernoldi, saying, I'm here, I'm fast, and see, fakes that he's going to dive on the inside just to show the color of his car in the mirrors of Enrique Bernoldi, to try to attract his attention, to try to make him do a mistake.
Meanwhile, what's happening with the leaders? Well, it's sort of pretty much settled down now. The gap between them is at 1 second. There are 3 minutes left. One push to pass available for Seville, the car in second place for Sebastian Bourdais. None available for Porto, for Alvaro Parent, but the time is ticking away. And if Sebastian Bourdais is going to do it, he's got to get it really on the next couple of laps.
Yes, it's the case. The thing is, he's been pushing so hard to close the gap that now it's going to be hard to get anything, to extract anything anymore from the tires and from himself. That it's really hard to come below the second that's left as a gap.
Yeah, that's the tough bit on board with Corinthians. He's sliding around a lot more now, and you wonder if it's similar story for Pizzonia. He pushed hard in the early laps and he's paying the penalty.
Exactly. When you push, you ask a lot to the tire, and towards the end of the race you're suffering.
Yeah, and that's definitely what's happening here. And Bernoldi similar. He pushed very hard on the opening laps when he got in front, of course. Now he's on his second set of tyres, so that set probably weren't hammered quite as hard, but nonetheless, similar situation. Anderlecht tucked in behind, and well, we'll see what happens. Porto still leading this race, of course, as we get into the closing stages. Seville in second, Flamengo in third, then it's Anderlecht in fourth, Corinthians still fifth, Milan holding on to sixth, Galatasaray in seventh, Rangers eighth, Liverpool ninth, PSV in 10th place. Then it's Basel, who have been confirmed with a 25-second penalty for not making their pit stop when the pit stop window was open. So instead of doing a drive-through, what they're doing is actually adding 25 seconds to their time, and they've done it on the timing screens already, so it's dropped Basel down to 11th place. So that's interesting, and we did think that they were going to get penalised for that. But, you know, I don't think Sebastian Bourdais is going to be able to do this. In the last lap or so, he's actually dropped away again a little bit.
Yeah, as we were saying, he probably asked a little too much to the tires, but he had to try and give it all, and he's managed to close the gap, but that's not enough. It's super hard to overtake on that track, and if you haven't got an extra bit of juice in the tire to do it, then you can't really do it, and there's 2 more laps to go now.
Yeah, 2 more laps, because we wait till the clock goes to 0, and then there's 1 more lap after that, and it's looking good for Porto on Portugal turf with a Portuguese driver from Porto himself, Alvaro Parent. He did start on the front row in this race. Remember what happened in race 1? He got taken out really in an instant with Maria de Vallota here at this particular section of the circuit, and the race came to an early conclusion. But this race is going much better for him. Still this battle for third. Who's going to get it? Anderlecht in the purple and silver colours. Still Yelma Berman driving for them, wanting to try and get past, and Olympiacos tucks in behind. A bit of a confusing part of it, because the red and white car is not in this battle for position. He's 2 laps down, and Corinthians still on the back of this group, definitely still in the battle themselves. They're sitting in 5th.
Flamengo struggling with the car traction. You see actually Bernoldi is sliding the car out of every corner. He's just struggling to put back the power down, and makes it very hard to drive for him. Anderlecht is just there, but Enrique is so good at defending. You don't actually see him defending, but he's pretty slow into the corners, but he's fast out of the corners, so they can't really overtake him.
The clock has gone to 0. There is just 1 more lap to go, just over a lap. They've got to come through these last couple of corners to go on to the final lap, and it is Alvaro Parent who's got control of this one. Surely he's only got to complete this lap and 1 more to take victory, and you tell you what, it'll be back-to-back victories in race 2 for Porto, because Porto had a win last time out at Donington with their other driver who's been doing such a good job for the team in Tristan Gomendi, but an opportunity came up for Alvaro Parent to race this weekend, and to have a Portuguese driver on board, well, it's obviously a vital opportunity for him, and he's done well with it. What's going to happen here in the battle for third?
Bernoldi has to block, and he will defend. Anderlecht cannot overtake, he's too far. No, that's the best place to overtake on the track, so it's the last lap. I think Bernoldi is probably going to keep his third position.
Well, that would be great news from his point of view. One of his best results of the season so far, no doubt about it. But for FC Porto, things are looking good. Bourdais tries to get a little closer for Seville. Both these drivers have starred on their debuts. And remember, Bourdais started back on the 4th row of the grid for this one. He was helped a little bit by that gap on the grid just up ahead when the Michelin car wasn't able to take its place on the grid, but nonetheless he had to fight for it. He had to earn his position. He got into 3rd at the start. It was a good start by Bourdais, good pit stop as well, fought his way into 2nd position, but he hasn't been able to do anything about Alvaro Perez. A winner last weekend at Spa, and now perhaps even more importantly for him, on home turf, driving for his own team, FC Porto. It is a home victory for Alvaro Perez. He comes through to take the win at Estoril. 2nd place goes to Sebastian Bourdais for Seville.
Yeah, stay on, man. Stay on. Well done. Well done. Good job, guys. Very good job. You won.
A very laid-back Perez, and here's that battle for 3rd. It is going to stay the same as it has throughout the last part of the race. Flamengo hold on to take 3rd, all on the line there. Which one? I think it was Anderlecht just beat Corinthians by a fraction of a second. And, well, with the Brazilian clubs all doing well in this 2nd race, of course, Portugal and Brazil, such close links. It's been quite a day for the Portuguese-speaking peoples of Super League Formula. They've had a victory there with Porto, and now they also had another podium with Flamengo, and with Corinthians coming home 5th. That's a pretty impressive run of results today. It is Porto the winner though, and Sebastian Bourdais on his debut finishing in 2nd position. Liverpool, well, they finished in 9th, and they will still have scored a lot of points from this race, and it's going to be interesting
towards the end
to see who.
I was pushing all the time. Not easy with the wind. Keeps changing the car, but good job.
An interesting comment